Because I was thinking the last one was involved in that.
Yeah.
Okay. Star Trek. Couple seconds. 23rd, right? May 23rd?
Yeah.
Alright.
Is it? No, it's the 23rd. It's the 23rd.
Ready? Alright. Huge Movie Fanatics coming to you on May 23rd, 2013. This is like just a little over 2 months from the last time where it was actually like a mini blizzard. It actually snowed more 4 weeks later, like April 18th. So this spring was kind of a bummer. But it's a little chilly today. But you know what? Last time was snowy. We figured we're gonna suffer just so you can have a nice green view. It looks really nice. So we're here today to start off the batch of reviews with the first movie, which is
Star Trek Into Darkness. This is the sequel to the reboot of Star Trek, which is actually the first remake. But spoilers will follow, so...
Yeah, let's just say that now. It'll probably be in the description as well. Spoiler alert, this will be a spoiler-laden review.
Certainly, I'll try to keep the spoilers to a minimum for the first part of the review.
Also, there might be wind today. We don't have any good budget, any good mics. That's sorry, it's the way it is. You can hear us.
Yeah. So anyway, Star Trek Into Darkness, I liked it. I didn't like it as much as the previous movie. I thought the previous movie, even though it was a reboot, felt more fresh because it was an original story.
We've reviewed Star Trek 2009. Check it out. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I am as well. I felt that was a slightly better picture than this one. This one loses the freshness once it's revealed that it is a remake, essentially. Or reimagining, but
remake elements.
Remake elements, certainly. But it was still a damn enjoyable movie, mainly because of the crew. I absolutely love Chris Pine as Kirk. He is just pitch perfect. Everybody is great in this. I like every character had like a great moment. I love Chekhov when he was told that he had to put on a red shirt. And that look of complete dread that like just crept over his face was fantastic. I love when Sulu was given a chance to command the ship for a moment, and you can see how like they foreshadow in the other movies how eventually he becomes a captain. How he has commanding potential, and he was really cool in that scene. And I thought Scotty was used quite well. Actually better in this one, far better in this one than he was used in the previous movie.
Probably.
And then, like, Bones is still forgotten. That just bugs me. He's my favorite.
All he does is show up for, I'm a doctor, not a... And then he's gone, and I'm like, what?
It's weird.
And what's so great is I love Carl Urban or whatever.
Oh, he's so perfect.
Why aren't we using him? Yeah.
I have no idea. He's just pitch perfect. Uhura was great, Spock was great, but Kirk, man, he was amazing. And I really did like Benedict Cumberbatch. Now here's where we're going to get into the spoiler.
Spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie, you don't want to be spoiled, stop it now.
Benedict Cumberbatch was fantastic in the movie in his own portrayal of the villain Khan. Which I think a lot of people kind of guessed ahead of time, and then everybody was like, no, it's not Khan, his name's John Harrison. And even still, I was just like, I don't know, I don't buy it, something tells me it's Khan. It's either Khan or this random guy. I think in one of my trailer reviews for it,
I think you mentioned the name Khan.
Yeah, I had mentioned Khan. I was like, it's either going to end up being Khan or it's going to be this other random guy. It turns out it was Khan. So I kind of guessed that. As did most of the public. And he's nothing like Ricardo Montalban's Khan, who I actually like his portrayal as well, especially in Wrath of Khan. But Benedict Cumberbatch was great, especially in the scene where he has his back away from Kirk, looking into the camera, and he's telling his backstory, and then just pure anger is filling him so much that he starts like crying as he's telling his backstory. Like, my God, give that man an Oscar right there. He was just fantastic. biggest problem with the movie, though, is the Khan elements. Because if you haven't seen Space Seed, or which was the episode with Khan, or Wrath of Khan, you don't really know why this guy is that bad outside of he's just going around killing people.
The movie, the Khan element in Star Trek Into Darkness is very much made, assuming the viewer has seen Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, it's really reliant on Wrath of Khan throughout a lot of the movie. So much so that Spock, when he meets old Spock, he doesn't even tell him what happened. Spock was like, "Well, how did you stop him before?" And then
I don't remember.
that was that was good. But Nimoy just sort of does like this weird breath thing, and then it cuts away, and it's like, as an audience member who loves Star Trek, I was like, oh shit! But as like my fiance who hasn't ever seen Wrath of Khan, she was just like, how did they stop him before? And I was just like, watch, I'm sure they'll
He'll
show
tell
it.
you.
So like it was really reliant on the fact that you've seen these other two. Which, I mean, it just kind of was a weird thing. And this is where it comes into it loses its freshness. I like the whole idea of the reboot thing was that we're going to get fresh stories with this young crew.
Yeah.
But they're doing like this cool parallel thing, which is fine. It's just not as much as I want it to be fine. You know what I mean? The big twist was that Kirk is the one who sacrifices himself instead of Spock, which I did mention in my like in that trailer review thing. I was like, you see the hand, and then you see the Spock one come up, and I was like, I wonder if they're gonna switch them out. And I had mentioned that to my friends before, like 2 months ago, before we went to see this movie. And I was like, I bet you my big prediction is that they're gonna switch it out. I thought they'd actually keep him dead though. Which, I mean...
I gotta tell you, we complained about Star Trek 3 and just bringing, the whole movie just exists to bring Spock back and that kind of ruining Wrath of Khan and stuff, and I think they could have done worse, which they did in this one, which is kill him and bring him back in the same movie!
In the same...
What the
within
hell?
10 minutes. And it was such an effective death, too! Like, it made me cry when he was just like, I just did what I thought you would have done. When he said that to Spock, I was like, that is what he did. And like that got me like really emotional, and I loved that scene. It was such a good scene. With the callback, the hand thing.
But the thing is, as he's dying, that movie's gonna end with him everything peachy.
I thought they were gonna be more ballsy and just keep him dead, and I was like, maybe they won't even bring him back for the next one.
If they would have kept him dead, that would have been so freaking ballsy.
Right.
But they have an endless amount of sequels planned, I'm sure. So that just wasn't gonna work.
And so that was basically where my problem comes in. Is the action good? Yes, the action is good. The scenes with the ship sort of crashing to Earth, that was just like fantastic. When they were Kirk and Scotty are running along the sides of the the radius of the ship, like that was as it was falling, that was fantastic. And he's jumping over the hallways.
The whole movie is kind of a blur to me. Looking back on it, it's hard to remember. Well, when they have all that action, that's just overloaded. It all blurs together for me.
I didn't think it had as much action even as the previous movie. It was sort of one of my complaints was that it had a lot of action, but it didn't have as much. They went more of the thriller route, which didn't bother me because Star Trek is different in every incarnation, and that's what's kind of great about Star Trek. The thing that was completely pointless in this movie, and was just clear foreshadowing for a third movie, was the stupid enter into the Klingon territory.
Oh, yeah.
And Khan starts the war by killing all the Klingons, and clearly that's what the third movie is going to be about. And I'm done with the Klingons. Why did they show their faces? I loved the helmet, the Predator helmet thing. Like that was really cool. They didn't need to take it off, and then they took it off, and I was like, and the makeup didn't look very good.
What did you think about Nimoy returning for 30 seconds? Like when he showed up, I'm like, oh no way, this will be great. And then he's like, I can't tell you, and then he's gone. I'm like, what? And I partially wonder if they filmed that,
in the previous.
Yeah, because how torturous, how many times has Nimoy put on the ears thinking it was the last time? And it's like,
Yeah.
So part of me almost wonders if they shot that in 2008 or whatever. But
Maybe, I don't know. I liked it. I mean, it was great that Spock was talking to the person who stopped. And he didn't really stop Khan, but he was the result of Khan's villainy in the previous, the last time you saw Khan. So I really liked that. And Spock doesn't know. The young Spock too doesn't really know what's going on, and he has to talk to his mentor, which is himself. It was just like a cool little. I was fine with it, even though it was short. It didn't bother me.
okay, I didn't really. It kind of bothered me.
But at the end of the day, I'll give it 3.5. I mean, it's a fun movie. I'm sure as time goes on, I'm not gonna be drawn back to this one as much. Certainly, Wrath of Khan is a much better movie. Undiscovered Country and Star Trek 2009. Those are the three perfect Star Trek movies for me, and I said that, I think even in our earlier review of Star Trek 2009 that and I said this back when it came out, a perfect sequel to Star Trek 2009 is Wrath of Khan. And it's so funny that now the actual sequel to the movie is essentially Wrath of Khan, yet I still stand that Wrath of Khan is probably the better and more fitting sequel than even this one was, because that one was all about the Kobayashi Maru, which was established in Star Trek 2009. You got a lot of great callbacks. Kirk is all young and whatnot, and then Wrath of Khan, he's lamenting the fact that he's aged, and I think that those two are better pairing than Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness. But anyway, what star rating?
Well, I'm going to keep it short because he talked a lot and I don't really have a lot to say. This is the deal. Basically, when I walked out of Star Trek Into Darkness, I thought, okay, that's what I thought the first movie was going to be. For me, I was, as you can see in our 2009 Star Trek review, I was really impressed and surprised by that movie. For me, I might have to see it again. I probably won't see it again in the theater, but for me, this one seemed, especially because of that opening, which of course you can't really compete with the opening of 2009. I mean, that's just great. But with that summer popcorn fluff, light kind of just action, overly colorful. I mean, I guess it wasn't it was. I mean, not in a bad way, but whatever. Fluff opening. It just started for me the wrong way. It just rubbed me the wrong way. And not that I kept that taste in my mouth for the whole movie. But looking back on it, to me, it just seems more like of a less substance and more fluff to me kind of a picture. And to me, looking back on 2009 Star Trek, I loved the unexpected relationship with Spock and Uhura, and it seemed to keep coming back, and it was soft-spoken and almost unspoken at times, and I love that. To me, I might be wrong, like I say, the movie's a blur looking back, but to me it didn't seem like there was any really, with the death scene there was, and that was a tearjerker, but it didn't seem like there was any juicy interaction. I do that scene comes to mind where they're in all three of them are in the ship or whatever, and they're going down. That was funny. There's funny bits. But I really like that stuff with Spock and Uhura and her being, after this planet was died, just her support and an attraction on her part that maybe she would have left in the dark had not that happened to Spock. You know what I'm saying in that respect? And it's just it's gonna just come out because because I need to comfort him. Yeah. That I really loved in the first one and stuff. To me, the first one was somehow just. Maybe it's because it was the first time we saw these characters in these parts, or these performers in these parts. But for me, the characterizations in Into Darkness weren't as good. There were some moments where Chris Pine was he said a couple lines or something like that where it was just oh my God, Shatner. It was just great. Yeah. Not only does he look like him, but there was a couple lines where it was just oh my God, is that Shatner? Maybe it was mocap or something. Maybe Shatner played the part and just put Chris Pine.
I'm sure Shatner would have loved that.
Yeah, that's another thing we could. Well, I don't want to get into that, but yeah. Before we end, I want to mention Peter Weller. I'm a big fan. I'm of that age where I saw RoboCop and stuff in the theater, and Leviathan. I didn't see it in the Leviathan in the theater, but I grew up with these movies, and
Yeah.
Peter Weller for me was in my generation. If we saw movies, was a face that we grew up with, and
Yeah.
and obviously that voice with RoboCop, and it was great to see him back in such a cool, menacing part. He was just badass.
Yeah, I just wish they would have used him more. Like at the end of the day, his role is completely pointless to the whole movie. Like I was happy to see him back too, because it's like, oh, it's RoboCop. But he didn't really do much of anything, and he's just sort of there to service the point that Khan's a bad guy.
I was afraid he was going to die in that little
Oh, the
explosion
office
thing.
room.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, come on.
The
So-
fact that they killed Chris Pike there kind of surprised
Oh
me.
yeah, it was kind of a bummer.
I liked him, and I like the guy who plays Chris.
Yeah, he's in iRobot and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
he's a good actor. Bruce Green or something like that.
I don't know. He's got a name.
Yeah.
We should probably wrap it up. 2.5 stars for me. It might be, it might be higher if I were to see it again, but that's what it is now in retrospect. Just thinking about it, it's just like, yeah, whatever. Some of the action, some of the action for me was yawning. Like the thing, I didn't like the action at the end with Spock and Khan on the ships. To me, that was just like episode 2.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, that reminded me a lot of episode 2.
In the day. JJ's like, what's in the day? It's all right.
Yeah, pretty much. And the movie does have me a titch worried about Star Wars a little bit.
Yeah.
Though thankfully he toned down the lens flares, but I don't know. I'm just curious to see where his Star Wars is going to take us.
Uh-oh, that's another review.
Yeah.
But just in order to keep things short, well, it's probably too late to do that. Maybe any questions? Anything you want to know?
What did you think of Khan?
Oh, when his name was said Khan,
Yeah.
I went like that.
Didn't you figure it out like 10 minutes before when they started revealing like the bodies and the missiles and all that
I
stuff?
was like a zombie sometimes when I watch
Yeah.
movies. I don't really do a lot of thinking necessarily.
Yeah.
I just watch what.
All right.
I mean, as the movie's happening.
Yeah.
Because so much is happening, it's so much to take in. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just watch it.
Yeah. I feel that.
And especially since it was a different name, I didn't think anything about it. But when they said Khan, I was like, oh God, because if I would have done Khan, I don't know, I probably would have tried to get someone who was whatever Ricardo Montalban's nationality was.
Do you know who was originally cast as Khan but then dropped out at the last second?
Well,
was
check.
Benicio del Toro, who's an actor I quite like, and he very much not only kind of looks like Ricardo Montalban, he has the feel of him.
To me, it
he
should
would
have
have been perfect.
In order to honor, I mean, Khan, there's only been one Khan, and he's been whatever he was. What's his nationality?
He's Hispanic.
So it's just, to me, it was a no-brainer you should have had a Hispanic play the part.
Not only that, like, they go to great lengths to make all of the characters either characteristically appear or
Right.
look like all of their other...
All the crew members.
the previous crew members.
So why not?
Even like Marcus, Carol Marcus, who Alice Eve plays in this movie. That's Shatner's sort of wife, or Kirk's sort of wife in Wrath of Khan. She's
that's
the one,
right.
the mother of Kirk's son.
Is she the blonde?
Yeah,
she's
she's
blonde.
yeah, the blonde.
Oh, okay. See,
she even was sort of resembling,
Right.
even in hairstyle, her previous character.
didn't she have an accent in this?
She was British in this, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so was Khan. I guess they just ignored. In real life, she's British though, so I guess that's
Right.
just what she did. But even still, I love Benedict Cumberbatch. The only last thing
In closing,
the last thing I was gonna say is like, all right, so there's probably gonna be a third movie. JJ's probably not gonna do it, but
Direct it.
he won't direct it. He certainly will produce it, and I'm sure the two writers of the first movie and this movie are gonna probably come back to write the third one. Speculation time. So they've played with the current crew, and a lot of these movies like to play with time travel. Wouldn't it be kind of interesting if, like, they're going to do the whole Klingon battle? They like to do this mirror parallelism in the first movie with Spock Prime, and then the Spock 2, and then in this movie they did like again the two Spocks, but they were paralleling Wrath of Khan with Into Darkness. Do you think the third movie they might since they're going to potentially be doing the Klingon Wars, sort of thrust in a future time period and see how the Klingons are no longer a threat. They're actually on the side of the Federation, and maybe see some like a reboot of like Worf or something like that. Or,
reboot? Did you say Worf?
Yeah, is it not Worf?
No, it's
It's
Worf.
Worf. Yeah, I was like,
Just couldn't tell.
yeah, like a reboot of Worf.
If you mean Worf, it's Worf.
Yeah, like him, or and
Win,
maybe
sorry.
even,
Oh, there goes my list.
and maybe even make some like next gen, because a lot of fans want to see the next gen people recruited. I don't much care about them, but it would be kind of interesting
Oh,
if
man.
they always go back in time. Why don't they go in the future?
Oh no.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Data.
And yeah, somebody was like, the perfect Data would be Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And I was like, I don't know about that, but I like him. I guess I'd be fine with it. But,
Or Justin.
it'd actually be interesting. But
In closing,
in closing, I think that would be an interesting place for them to go. If they're going to do the Klingon War, maybe bring in some like Klingons from the future who will try to help the Federation create peace, create a balance with that.
sure.
So, like, and maybe Spock, being that he came from the Next Generation time period into Star Trek 2009, maybe he's the voice that's like, you know, in my day, we're friends. There's this excellent dude, his name is Worf. You should go and meet him.
You should go meet him.
So, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, just thoughts. Okay, Star Trek Into Darkness, 3.5, 2.5. Check it out, it's worth seeing, even if it's...
It's worth seeing once. In closing, did you see it in 3D?
No.
Oh, okay.
JJ doesn't like 3D, and he was kind of upset with the post-convert thing.
Oh, it wasn't blessed by it.
No.
Just fuck.
Pretty
Sorry.
much. He hasn't said one
You're
way or
right,
the other.
he can't say
but
that. Yeah, he wants to keep working.
He was very adamantly against 3D a couple of years ago. I'm pretty sure that he's... So I didn't see it.
I looked in the credits and it was a
Yeah.
Real D or whatever the
Yeah.
hell the company is converted. They're getting better, really good at conversions.
And we'll discuss that later, I'm sure.
Probably next, if you're referring to Iron Man 3.
No.
Oh, well, fuck. Well, I get what? What are you referring to?
Jurassic Park?
Oh, okay.
Jurassic Park.
This
Coming
is
soon.
way too long. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
We'll catch you tomorrow
Peace.
next time. Okay.
Alright, here's... Oh, your list fell off.